All right, so here we are now with Miriam, and I'm going to have her introduce herself and give a little highlights on what her life has been. So, Miriam?
My name is Miriam. I was born in New Jersey on September 11th, 1937. And I lived in New Jersey for a number of years until I finished high school and then went into the convent. I was a Felician sister, which is one of the branches of the Franciscan sisters, and remained with the Franciscans for 30 years. My life has been very, very eventful and includes many, many opportunities. As a Felician sister, I went to Brazil and spent 11 and a half years there. As a teacher, worked in a rehabilitation center for handicapped children, and also worked with Project Hope to start a bachelor's degree program in the northeast of Brazil. Worked with the Brazilian counterparts and set up a whole program, which was very, very exciting. I worked as a nurse in many areas. The largest amount of nursing time was spent in oncology. When I got a master's in nursing, my area of concentration was oncology. And so I worked at Johns Hopkins and the Hershey Medical Center in the areas of oncology. And also as a nurse, spent several years working in hospice. I retired from nursing after 32 years in 2001 and thought about what I would do with my life. It took about 6 months to settle into retirement and to know a direction. And what I thought would be the most appropriate thing to do would be to do grief counseling. I had seen so many people face death and supported many families in that process. So I felt that the next step for me would be to use my nursing background in oncology, a master's degree in psychology, which I had acquired, to do grief counseling. I went to the pastor of my church and offered the idea of being a grief counselor in the church. That was 12 and a half years ago. And I have been doing grief counseling in the church and in the community for that period of time. In 2008, my sister moved to Riderwood Village, which is a senior community in Silver Spring. And in the process of helping her to settle in, I noticed that there are many, many deaths at Riderwood. The bulletin boards usually portray the name and the date of the person who died, and so the idea of moving grief counseling into Riderwood Village came to me. I pursued that by going to the pastoral care department, and I spoke to the director, and of course she was very, very open to the idea of my doing the grief counseling there. I work closely with the social workers who make referrals to me. I also have a grief support group there, which has been in function for the last 6 years. To add a little bit of variety to my life, because grief counseling can be a heavy thing, I have undertaken to be a part of a chorale. I belong to the Bowie Senior Chorale, which is a wonderful group that presents concerts twice a year, and it's very, very enjoyable. I also belong to an alpine dancing group. This particular group is a professional group that does Swiss, Austrian, and German folk dances. The busy time for this group is usually Oktoberfest season, which begins at the end of September and goes on to November. I have many friends and can enjoy spending time with them, and this puts a little balance in my life. I very much try to be involved in fitness, take yoga classes, take fitness classes, and this has kept me very, very functional and very, very energetic. And this just about summarizes my life.
Wow, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Let me just go back here to the fitness again. How often during the week do you go to classes?
many days a week. There is a fitness class that I attend on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And then I've joined another one that meets on Tuesday and Thursday. I do yoga twice a week on a Monday and a Friday. So basically the mornings are really dedicated to fitness. And I think it's very, very important so that I can stay very functional. It lets me dance and it lets me deal with the arthritis that has invaded my body. So I can really keep moving and I'm not deterred by the arthritis.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And I know that you have worked with a couple of your sisters and all with illnesses and stuff. So,
Oh, indeed. Indeed,
you know,
yeah.
even having the endurance and everything to go through all of what you've gone through.
Yes, yes. Well, part of my nursing career entailed working as a case manager, and I learned an awful lot about resources and services for people who are ailing. And so I've been able to use them for over the years for friends, family, and it's very satisfying to be able to be there for them.
Boy, that's great. That's great. So, and let's go into the aging process. Now, what was it that you said your age was?
I'm 76.
76.
I'm not even sure I said that, but I'm 76.
Okay.
But very, very young in spirit. I don't feel like 76. I feel like maybe I'm in the late 50, early 60 range.
Oh, great.
Because I have a lot of energy.
Right.
And aging, yes, aging is occurring because I can feel it in the body that doesn't work as agilely as it did when I was younger. But keeping up with the fitness has permitted me to do the things I want to do and not be bothered by any ailments.
Right, right. And I always believe one of the greatest benefits from exercise is just having that confidence in your body. You feel that with...
Oh, I do indeed, yes, yes. Yeah. I can very much keep up with friends who are younger and the activities that they enjoy. Last year I went on a trip to Switzerland with friends. And of course my roommate and travel companion, one of them, was a young girl, probably in her late 30s. And of course her statement was, "Oh, it's a marvelous that you can keep up with us." I felt quite honored by that, by that compliment.
Yes, indeed, indeed. So do you have any fears involving the aging process?
Not really. Not really. I do believe that, that there are some things that are changing, like the eyes are not as great as they used to be. And there's arthritis in the spine, and that has it's a little bit of restrictions. But with exercise, I can keep moving forward. I sometimes wonder what will be the cause of my own demise, because there's a lot of longevity in my family. But I don't let that be a big concern. I just enjoy what life brings.
Right. Well, I know. I've seen you dance, so I know what all that entails. So you got to be fit to be able to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah. What do you look forward to in the next 10, 20 years?
I will continue to do the grief counseling for a while yet, while I am still have enough energy and etc. And then after that, I'm not quite sure. I often think that I have to settle into a simple life, a quiet life. Right now, my life is very busy, so quiet and simple are not concepts that I live by.
But what's nice is that I can see that you're listening to yourself. You're listening to where your body and yourself wants to lead you.
Yes, yes, right.
So that's great.
Right.
Now, let's drop back again. I've always found it fascinating that you spent so much time as a nun and then came out into this wild, crazy world. What kind of transition was that?
It was long. It took me about 5 years to be really sure that that's what I wanted to do. And I think I grew beyond the confines of a life in a community. I had, as a young nun, I went to Brazil, spent 9 years there, I spent 11 and a half, I was a nun each period of that I was in Brazil. And that was a very broadening experience. I had the opportunity to study, and so I received a bachelor's in nursing, a bachelor's in education, a master's in nursing, and a master's in counseling.
Wow.
And all of those experiences really broaden you. So much so that when I returned from Brazil and spent a few years working as a nurse here in the States, I began to look at, can I be the fullest person that I am within the constraints of a religious community? And so with much discernment, I decided to leave. But it was a long process before I really made that final decision.
Wow, wow. And then once you came out, was it a shock?
Well,
No, because I guess you've been out, I don't mean to answer, but you were out in the world as a nun. So.
Yes, I had the wonderful opportunity of getting a job at John Hopkins while I was still in the community. Most of my nursing career was in hospitals that the religious community directed. But the last job that I had before leaving was in Johns Hopkins Hospital. And because there was an opportunity, and I had studied oncology, and I really wanted to broaden, and so that worked out very, very nicely. Yeah.
Right.
When one is leaving the community, one can take what they call an exclaustration, which is a time away of a year or 2 years, where you kind of finalize your decision and you realize whether it's the mistake of the century or whether it's something that was good for you. And I had that opportunity. I had a year and a half of what they called exclaustration, where you live on your own, you sustain yourself financially, and in the meantime you look at whether this is a good fit for you outside of community. And when I decided it was, then I did the final separation from the community.
Wow. And how about the transition into the social aspect and this life outside of the community?
Well, I was not too socially integrated because I went into the community when I was just finishing high school, so I never had the normal dating period that people have. And so I was green as the grass when I left. I think the first thing I did was I joined one of these organizations where they find you a date. It was a very expensive one, and I don't even think it even exists anymore. But I did a few of those little dating projects, and it was very very it was very difficult because I felt so inept at not having had heterosexual relationships even in high school. I went to an all-girl high school, so that didn't serve me too well. And then I lived with women for 30 years, and so when I entered the real world, just relating to men was an adjustment. Yeah.
Wow. And so are you into the world now? Are you
yes. Very much
fully
so.
integrated?
Very much so.
Yes, very good.
Yes.
Very good. Wow, well, you have led a very interesting, full life.
Yes, I have, yes. For which I'm very grateful.
Yeah. So how about this idea of holistic living? How do you feel you fit into that concept?
I think I got my very first training in holistic living in the convent, because you had to live a simple life.
Right.
And so when I left, a lot of the values that I acquired by being a member of a community, I carry on now. I live a simple life. I feel it's very important to have a time for spirituality and for prayer, and so those complete my life. I have enjoyable things, but I don't have too many of the eccentricities of life. And so, I just what I learned from being in the convent. And of course, I came from a very humble family background. We didn't think we were poor, but we were quite poor. and lived a simple life as a family. And then, of course, that got reinforced with convent living. And so it's kind of inbred right now. And so I continue to choose to live in a very, very simple, non-ostentatious way.
Right. You're not ready to move into the palace, are you?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Okay. Let's see. Anything else that you, just off the top of your head, that you'd like to share with others out here about aging, living a full life? What are the ingredients of living a full life?
I think the ingredients for living a full life is to be very, very balanced. To be healthy in your body, to be healthy in your mind and your spirit, to be affiliated with some kind of religious connection or spirituality. I mean, that all has to grow as you grow. To have good friends, friends that you can enjoy life with, to have opportunities to travel, to enjoy nature. All of those components make for a very, very healthy and a very holistic life.
Very nice. Very nice. I like that. Okay, well, I guess until the next time, I just thank you for wanting to be a part of this, and I will call you back when we're talking on specific topics.
Very fine.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.